Hello, mayors. Hello, mayoresses. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. We're here to start the last episode of Bahia de Barbosa. Yes, you didn't read the title or the thumbnail wrong. It's not clickbait. This is really the last episode here of Bahia de Barbosa. And first, I'm going to explain why I made this decision. And second, we're going to travel all around our state, so it'll be city by city we'll be exploring. And I'll be telling you interesting facts, showing you the details up close. If you've been following from the beginning, thank you so much for making it this far. And if you just landed here by chance, I ask you to check your subscription. Everyone, if you can leave a like here at the beginning of the video, it will help me a lot, and that's it. If you have the hyperspeed option, I hope I can count on your hype as well, all right? Well, let's get to the technical problems, which is the most annoying part. And we'll wrap up on a better vibe, more in line with what this was here. This series has brought us a lot of joy over the past few months. Well, for those who didn't follow the series, the idea was to create a state called Bahia de Barbosa with several cities. And in fact, when we look from above, we can see several city centers. There's a city here, which is our English city. Over here is our American island with a New York style, and here is the Los Angeles style. And over here, we have a German city. And the idea was to make the Asian part over here, which only got half of our Chinese city, and here there was supposed to be a Japanese city. Here in the middle of this valley, there used to be an Eastern European village that no longer exists. There are some good episodes about it. And finally, we were supposed to have a French city right here, and I even started sketching something here so we could have this French city. It was going to look great since it would go up this hill, but unfortunately, the Japanese and French cities will be missing, just like half of the Chinese city over there and half over here. Man, I don't think it's on the island, just half. I think about 20 to 30 will be missing because it's pretty full already. Oh, but why? Barbosa? Well, I think the main problem was that we got the port's downloadable content during the series, right? With the series already going. And a lot of things ended up changing with the arrival of the bridge and port's downloadable content. My diagnosis is that the state grew in a way that wasn't adapted to the downloadable content in a way without the downloadable content. And when it came and rewrote a lot of the consumption and production codes, the state kind of didn't adapt. And then several technical problems started to appear that we didn't have before the downloadable content. Well, most of our industries, not all of them, but most here, the industrial areas are full of high-resource courses. But as I showed you, they're profitable, right? So this warning here that the company has difficulty raising funds and staying profitable doesn't really match, right? Look, this one is profitable. Let's see. Look, this one is profitable. Most of them are really profitable. There are one or two that you find with a negative balance, but look, another profitable one anyway. Here's another one that's really profitable. And then, man, I also don't really know what to do, so that's one of the problems. The second, and it's the main thing that discourages me, is the traffic. All right, we have traffic here as we're getting into the Californian city, so everyone is trying to get in here and, well, there's a traffic light. After that, the city is fine. Okay, this traffic here is actually not that bad. It's nothing compared to what you're going to see from now on, right? Especially here in the industrial area. Look at how this is, man. It's really, really crowded. And everyone is trying to turn right here. And there's a traffic jam on this street, right? All the way down there. And what's the reason? There's a lot of traffic on the other side too. Look, on this side, all the way to the roundabout. The roundabout is really packed. There's occasional traffic, right? Sometimes there's traffic here at both stations. Sometimes there isn't. As the game goes on, and right now there's no traffic here. All right, fine. You think this is still traffic, okay? I'll show you how our Chinese city looks, all right? Before going to the Chinese city, I want to show you this industrial traffic here. Look, this one has always been here. It never stopped. And man, this is an area with a lot of access points, okay? there's this access, and there are simpler ones too, right? To make registration easier for the trucks to enter, look, here's another access point. And there's even a line already forming here, see? I created direct access from the highway, also with the avenue and the road network. This place is amazing. There's access here to the train station, which had traffic problems at first, but then it got resolved. The best thing here, look, this industrial area, look, there's no traffic at all, man, none at all, see? We've got one area here, another area here, another one here, and another one here. There are 4 areas with no traffic. Man, once you cross the highway to this side, everything is jammed. Look, everything is stuck. And to me, it doesn't make much sense, you know? Because I think the number of factories on this side is about the same as on the other side. Only one side gets stuck. Just this side here, it's jammed. Industrial traffic happens. There are many factories, right? It can create traffic issues when everything converges. I saw a promising mod that's still in development, right? I'm not going to use it until it's more stable. Here in the industrial zones, we only have one zoning type, industrial factories. And this mod adds a second type. It separates industries into heavy industry and light industry. So the heavy industry is this one here with the chimneys, you know, large-scale production, right? The light industries. Maybe it would be a small warehouse like this and then light industry. It doesn't pollute as much, of course. There will still be some noise pollution, even if less, some soil pollution, even if less, and no air pollution, because there aren't these chimney towers here, right? And I thought it was a really cool idea because it makes it possible for us to put small industries inside the city, right? For example, right here, inside the city, right? To put up a warehouse, which is what happens in real life, right? Although in real life, there are industrial districts. Every now and then, you see a small industry, a little factory, a warehouse inside residential areas. It's common. The farms could let us stay. Do this to diversify the industries a bit more, right? So you don't have to build like these complexes here. Well, moving on to the Chinese city, right? We see another kind of traffic which isn't really related to industry because in the Chinese city, there isn't any industry at all. But let's get back to the topic of the ports. Look at this, right? We have port access here, right? People coming in, right? They come in here really slowly and there are people leaving, right? To leave, it's easy. The problem is, just look at that skyline. This Chinese city is impressive, right? The problem is getting in. Look at this. Let's follow it to the end and see how this situation is, right? We also have, to make things easier, an expressway from the entrance of the city all the way here to the end of the city where the port is located, right? And this expressway, it's packed full, crowded with vans and trucks. Look, it's just vans and trucks, okay? There are practically no private vehicles around here. Look, van and truck, and man. It's traffic like this that a single port is causing. It's surreal. And now it's even less, okay? Because when I started recording the episode, this traffic was coming all the way here, more or less. Right. It got a little lighter, and if you still don't think it's much, right? We have traffic down here too, look, because apparently people got tired of taking the expressway. Look, we have traffic here in this lower part, going all the way there. Let's see how far this traffic goes, man. I think if we go all the way there, near the port, here, look, anyway, this is crazy. Look, coming here, this traffic goes all the way to the entrance of the city. Here, look, you see, no one wants the overpass now, right? Everyone wants to come underneath. I don't know why either, since the speed limit on the highway up here is higher, right? So it would be preferable for the trucks to come up here. But now they want to come underneath and compete here with the private passenger vehicles. Ah, Barbosa, you showed several traffic jams, but none of them are that huge, so let me show you the biggest traffic jam in the state. Okay, and it starts here, look, in this industrial area, right? We have, look, a traffic jam right here, okay? And you won't be able to see it because it's a tunnel, actually. You will be able to see it because I'm going to put a first-person view here so we can follow how the traffic is inside the tunnel. So the right lane here is pretty clear. The left lane going the other way is all jammed up. So, man, you might think, hey, it's that roundabout up ahead, right? is that what's causing the jam here? But maybe it's just in this tunnel that we have a million vans piled up. And man, I'm sorry to tell you, but no, it's not just in this tunnel. And I'm even going to speed up here so we have time to get out of the tunnel and I can show you from outside. Here, look, we've already arrived, so check it out. This is the exit of the tunnel. Traffic jam ahead. Look, all 3 lanes are full. The lower road is also really congested, and the upper road, man, which is the express one. There's no room for any more vehicles. It's exactly the same problem with vans and trucks, vans and trucks, vans and trucks. And then we just keep going and going and going, and it seems like it never ends. Here, all 4 lanes are packed, right? And let's go, man. We've already passed through a couple of industrial districts here, and it keeps going, and it seems like it never ends. We kept going, and now we're at the start of the traffic jam. Now I'm going to open the screen so you can get an idea of where this traffic jam starts and where it ends. Here, man, the end in quotes, right? Because here you leave one and enter another, so that's it. Look, the camera barely opens wide enough for us to see the whole traffic jam. What's up, man? These are things that discourage me from continuing the series. All this imbalance, getting the downloadable content while the series is ongoing and the city is still under construction. Low frames per second. We're averaging around 15 or 16 FPS. All of this is discouraging, but I don't want it to take away from the merit of the state here, Bahia de Barbosa, because this is the 3rd series I've done in Cities Skylines 2. The first series, right? Everyone was learning how to play Cities Skylines. The second one was better than the first, and this third one was better than the second. So the first one was Novo Horizonte, then came Isla Bonita, which was better than Novo Horizonte, and now Bahia de Barbosa, which is better than Isla Bonita. If you've been following the channel for a long time, you might agree with me. There's a good chance you agree with me. So let's focus on the good side here in our state. I'm going to go through the cities and you'll see how this one turned out. This was our first city, and I think it ended up with a really beautiful design. There are these vertical lines we have here. Look, one vertical, another vertical here from the railway, one vertical here from the avenue, and another one here along the seafront. So these lines here, they ended up really compact, right? In the city, and then we have these horizontal ones here, look, that make all the access good. We started here. This was the first neighborhood in the whole state, right, of Cachoeiras. Cachoeiras, Barbosa, not Bahia de Barbosa. And look at that, right? This avenue has long had traffic problems, especially when the dry port at its end caused truck jams. Just like I showed you in the rest of the state, I removed that dry port and solved the problem. Here it's a very calm avenue, and you have access through this intersection here. It was up until now the main road of the state, right? Because it started here, man. Where did it start? Yeah, it started here. Look, and it went through this canal, right? It used to cross, and still does, the whole state, passing through here, through the interior, including the German city, and ends here. After I opened this other highway here on the inside, right? To give access to the industries, this one became the busiest highway. But anyway, it's cool, it gives access. Here we have a huge intersection, right, which turned out really well. I think it's one of the most complex and most beautiful in terms of symmetry, right, that I've ever made. Look, it provides access to all directions. And the complexity here was huge, mainly because we have a lowered road here underneath this sea that will start here in the city of Americana. So it's a very important junction here in the state, and it turned out really beautiful. I liked it a lot. If we keep going this way, right? We have access to the city here. There's a park around here. There are some buildings. There's also a junction here, a simpler one, but it turned out really nice, right? There's a lowered expressway. The elevated road is local, right? For those who want to access the neighborhoods here. So it turned out really beautiful. This intersection was one that was made right at the beginning of the series, and it gives access to this other avenue, right? That comes from this little road, which is a little road that comes from the main highway up here, right? So whoever passes by here has a really nice view of the city and also of the island in the background. And the other end of this avenue, right? Coming back here, passing through this intersection again. It will take you to the waterfront, so it's a very beautiful avenue, really wide, right, with shops. And it's never been jammed with traffic, right? And here we have the Praça dos Encontros. And this square turned out really beautiful, very nicely decorated. With the tram passing through, I did all this part here, all by hand. I decorated it myself. I built a park on the beach side, so it's a park together with a beach. It turned out really cool, right? There's parking, but people don't even use the parking here anymore. But look, there's a pool. A pool club. This beachside area turned out really awesome. I really enjoyed making it. And over here, right? We have a sports complex next to the intersection. And there's another neighborhood, right? A neighborhood here with buildings and houses. And on the hillside, we built, look, large office and residential buildings here to simulate a private development. Buildings chosen by hand. It also turned out great. I made a kind of marina here, placed each little stone on the hillside, and also planned the surroundings. From these streets here, you can see that there's a street going up, a path going down over there, and it's kind of uneven, right? Some streets are higher, others are lower, and I think this was one of the best projects by the state. That's why I'm here praising it. Well, is the tram there? The tram is still widely used today. People use it a lot, especially those who arrive at the train station here in the English town. Here next to the meeting square, look, I even put some buildings around the station, also to optimize space. People arriving here get off and take the tram in front. The station is very busy. It connects over here. Look, it goes under these shops and connects to the German city we have over here, which also turned out to be an amazing city. Isn't it the most organic city in the state? Because it has a lot of curves here on the highways, sometimes the highway is really close together and here it spreads out. There are things between the two directions. Anyway, a lot of greenery and the layout turned out really cool to look at, right? It's not that little square all the time, right? There's a small factory here. I think it's the only one that's not causing traffic problems and also the only one that's not in a huge complex, right? Over here, we have an entrance to the city, right? This highway, it comes from that avenue here. Look, from Praia dos Ingleses, okay? When we pass this junction, there's a tunnel here, and this tunnel comes out here. Look, on this side, okay, this other tunnel here. It comes from the highway that comes from up here, okay? So these are the two roads that come out of the tunnels, right? And this one here, is it the one that gives access to the city? We have an access here. This corridor turned out great, see, with several buildings, right? People don't use it that much, but there's an access here. There's an intersection that goes a bit into the sand, but this project turned out really great too, right? I think this intersection, this beach, looks really pleasant to the eyes. I built a boardwalk, right? I used a lot of red boardwalks here in this German city, and I used modern style buildings, right, to make up the surroundings of this square. And it's a big square that's right in front, directly in front of our train station. And people walk here a lot, okay? And I'm happy to see that, right? The square is really busy. There's a tram line that already passes right in front of the station. It takes people to the neighborhoods and also to downtown. Look, the station is really crowded, right? And we're dealing with 18 FPS, right? Wow, look at the skyscrapers of New York City over there, man. I didn't know you could get such a cool view from here. We'll go there later. Well, here the tram line continues. I painted the lanes to show that it's a tram-only lane, and it goes this way, right? It's going to go over this overpass, this bridge. It turned out really nice, this little garden here on the riverbank. And over here, we're already entering a more central area. Here we have a university, so this is still the only university in the state. And I didn't do more because, well, it holds 15,000 students and we only have 2,000, so there's not that much need. People graduate. In 14 months, the dropout rate is at 7, so it's not that high. And here I decided to build some small buildings, kind of spread out. Kind of like the suburbs, the outskirts of Berlin. And over here, we have our historic downtown, which turned out really great. I really like this German-style architecture that the game brought in the regional packs. And check out the roundabout. The tram passes through here, right? So we have a railway line here, squeezed between the streets, and a big, gigantic, and huge square here in the downtown, which was one of the most unique squares I've ever built in the game. And this red walkway matches really well with the little red roofs in the German style. And here we have the port, right? A little further ahead is the port. People are always coming here. There's a parking lot up front with a roundabout, and this here is the square. It's kind of the city's 0 point that I made around here. People stroll through the alleyways. It's a downtown area, but still very historic, and I really enjoyed making it. From back then until now, we have the east side of the city, which has a beach, some skyscrapers. It's a bit more modern, so it turned out to be a really cool area too. Here is a school. Here there's a space for socializing and leisure. Here you have a view of the avenue and a view of the beach. And here we're going to have a bus terminal. Here is the government headquarters, so the government of Cachoeira de Bahia de Barbosa is located here. And here there are office buildings of all kinds, so it's a workplace, a work hub. Man, it really matched with this beach, didn't it? And anyway, as we move this way, we start losing some of the density until we reach the beach houses here, which have the lowest density. And then everything turns into farmland. So it's a city that turned out really cool with lots of access points. An expressway here, very tree-lined, cuts right through the middle. So from the expressway over here, it's all suburbs, 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 suburbs. There's also a train track cutting through the suburb here with lots of trees around it, and over here as well. Going up, here we have a little mountain range that's part of the German city winding through. This whole hillside goes over this little river. A little river that's almost in free fall, almost like a waterfall. It makes this crazy S shape here, and in the end, it works out. In this village, which is an elevated village, I think it's the highest altitude village in the state, and it also has an amazing view of the rest of the city. It's a city I really enjoyed visiting. I was very fond of it, and I hope you all liked it too. And it must be very peaceful to live here. Do I see anyone on the street? No, I don't see anyone on the streets. So we have this access here, we have this access here, which is this huge intersection. There's a simpler access over here, and there's this access here as well. Here we have a loading station that has already caused us a lot of traffic problems too. And over here we have the last access to the farms. After this, we went on to invest in our American island, which also turned out to be a masterpiece. I started here with this part, which is the New York section, and it turned out awesome. All this density, these piers, these buildings, these streets, super dense. And it's a shame that I don't see many people walking around here in the station area. There are a lot more people here in this part. Here it's crazy. It's a lot of people, even here on this side. Some people do come in, but the real madness is around here. A lot of people at the bus stop, a lot of people coming in, accessing through here, so there are a lot of people. I'm repeating a lot of people because there really are a lot of people coming through here. Though now there are fewer, there used to be a lot more. I thought there would be a lot more people on this sidewalk because people really used to take over this crosswalk. Here's the big avenue on the park's north side. It's surprisingly calm with much less traffic than I expected. And here we have our elevated railways between the buildings and above the streets. Well, at the station, it's the busiest station in the state. Because you can get here from outside the map, and you can go to any other city by train from here. So, all the platforms are being used. They're full of people waiting. Not this one, but that one is so crowded that there are even people walking outside of it. Look how strange. And there's a crossing here where people go up the stairs to access the other platforms as well. The city has a subway system with 2 lines, so we can get a rough idea. Which has a subway system here, and there's a connection here with the train station. And then we also have, man, I'm gonna pause the game because when it's paused, I get 35 FPS. 32 at speed 1, I get 20 FPS 18. So I'm going to leave the game paused. We have here a side avenue that goes around our whole suburb and also gives access to this expressway. That comes from the City of the English, which I showed you beneath the sea. And man, this landscaping work around the stadium, for me, turned out amazing. It looks really beautiful, and the stadium is in a great location. And it faces right here onto the expressway and the local roads. So here we have the main roads, which are for fast traffic, and the local ones here, which are collector roads. So you can go from one to another using these access points I made here. And you can also make a U-turn at the roundabouts or overpasses that connect one side to the other. So it turned into a really awesome complex here. And when I see this view like this, it also gives me satisfaction to see all these roads coming together there. In the end, at the stadium, I think the landscaping here turned out great. Here we have a side view of the city. When I built this mega intersection, I remember it sparked controversy. People asked Barbosa, what kind of intersection is this? Later, with the city built around it, it didn't turn out so bad. And here we have the whole waterfront developed, the entire maritime outline of the city. And one of the views I enjoy the most seeing in person is this arrival here in New York City. Because just look at the skyline view we have here. I think it's amazing to see this expressway here and all the buildings coming together over there. The background is awesome. And over here we have our overpasses, the railway overpasses and the road overpasses here for cars. So in this part, it's also a really cool spot to observe. There's parking down below. There are S-shaped curves here. I hope nobody falls from up here. And here we have access to our Central Park, which is also one of the landmarks of our state, because it turned out awesome. It was one of the most watched episodes of the series, and it's not one of the early episodes. Usually the early episodes of a series tend to get a lot more views. Then people start dropping off, but this one was an episode in the middle of the series that got a lot of views. And honestly, this park here deserves it. It really does. There are plazas inside the park, like the Rosa dos Ventos Plaza here. There's the Sun Plaza, which are meeting points. And there's the Moon Plaza here, which is under the shadow of the tallest skyscraper in the city. And it turned out awesome with the little ponds. Check out the bridges over the little ponds, the resorts. Here there are also different styles of bridges. There are piers. People come here. You can take an awesome selfie here for Instagram and post it with Bahia de Barbosa. Only Bahia de Barbosa offers views like this for you. So, what do you think? I used a lot of detailing with texture. You can see here different shades of grass. I also made textured paths here, so they're not exactly the traditional paths from the game. And there's even a street for cars running through the middle here, so it's a very diverse park, a very multifaceted park. And it's not just a straight road either. It curves, which, man, adds a lot. Here in Charme Bomb, we have several other spots. Small tourist attractions around the city, and also colorful little houses here. Our highline over the water's really nice, and it was a city I really enjoyed. Phaser offered us incredible views and makes up this whole eastern part of our American island. On the west side, we have the city of Los Angeles, San Francisco, as expected there in the state of California, and I think it also turned out very realistic. If the city of Nova York reminds us a lot of New York, this one reminds us a lot of Los Angeles, that concentrated downtown, so there's that central area with the buildings and the suburbs. The Los Angeles highway has some pretty intense highways like that, and there's also access here from the train station. It also became a grid, because downtown there is a grid, so everything is laid out in a grid. There's this access here, which turned out really cool too. People can get straight into the middle of the city, man, and there are some suburbs here. We were also going to have a bridge here which would connect to the French city, which unfortunately won't exist, but Still, it's a spectacular city, and I really like this view here because it's basically a big corridor. And in the background, we can see the arches, the pillars of the San Francisco Bridge, which really match this city. It's a city where a lot of people walk. The station here is also very busy, really crowded. And what's cool is that people are really making good use of public transportation. Also, all the lines here in the state are free. And here you can also take that photo with the bridge in the background. The composition of this city turned out really cool. Here on the other side, we also have a port, so you can get to this city by sea. There are some modern style buildings around here and here. It's the city gate. It's the city gate, really a big gate. So it's no wonder it's called the gate, the Golden Gate. The Golden Gate that gives access to the city. The boats pass underneath here, and whoever arrives here also gets a breathtaking view because downtown turned out amazing here in our Californian city. Over here, there's still a small suburb that's pretty well developed, and there's also a small industry around here that provides jobs for the people. And this road that cuts through the island gives access both to New York over there, here to Los Angeles, and it also continues to give access to the state airport. So all the intersections here were done just right, and this intersection here also turned out really nice. It's good to look at. It's well done. I did everything by hand, including these access points. Here we have a train station for those arriving by plane in the state. You can take the train and choose your destination. Right here in front, we connect the highway and the train tracks. On this drawbridge, it lifts up so the boats can pass. And here would be the area of our French city, which won't exist. Very sad. I wish we could complete everything here without any problems. No performance issues, no update problems, no bugs. But unfortunately, it won't be possible. Here we have the largest industrial complex I've ever built in my life, so there's a lot of industry. There are also a lot of offices. This whole area is basically offices. This is practically a business hub to manage all these industries. And here I set up a massive infrastructure scheme. Because we have a central road, which is an expressway, so it only exits at strategic points. Here on the horizontal roads, which have 2 lanes, you see because the others are one way, you can't exit. Everything was planned out, and I explain it all in this episode, which I wrap up. The industrial area has a roundabout. It has direct express access here at the loading stations, so the truck that's going to pick up or unload cargo, it can come here directly, no need to go through the industries. Can it leave here and enter the industry, or can someone in the industry also go to the station? There are many access points, including a passenger station. We have 2, one on this side, which goes to the English city and the German city, and we have another one on this side which goes to the Californian city and New York City. The cities are well served and people are using them a lot. There's a walkway because it's important to provide access to the writers' district. A lot of people come to work here. We have space for 44,000 employees here, so it's the main work hub in the state. And that's it. And man, on this side, there are way more industries than on this side, and the traffic logic is the same. This side here doesn't get jammed, even though it has more industries, but this side here does get jammed. Like I showed you at the beginning of the episode, so who knows why. Well, we have a mine around here that turned out really cool too. It really looks like a big excavation in the middle of the forest here in the valley, especially because I left these stone walls here exposed to give the impression that an excavation is really happening. And anyway, it's a center that produces ore and employs 180 workers. In the production area here, we have to import a lot of wood because we really don't produce wood in the state. We import some wheat. We produce wheat here, but it's not enough either. We actually export a lot of cattle, export a little bit of coal, but we have to import metal and stone because just this mining company here ends up not being enough for the size of the state. And crossing the mountain here to the other side, we also have this huge industrial complex. which has an elevated access to the port here, which we ended up not finishing. And over here we have what used to be our old Eastern European village, which turned into all industry to try to meet the insatiable demand, capitalism. And lastly, we have our Chinese city, which was also one of the last ones we built and turned out really cool. It starts here in this field, with several farms that were built, including in the last episode, but the main part of it is over here. Here we were going to have a lot of suburbs, a transition from this downtown to the suburbs, and from the suburbs to the farms. But it turned out really cool because it looks very believable and realistic. It looks like a Chinese city, and I like that everything I suggested here worked out well. The New York-style city truly resembles New York. The Californian one looks like a Californian city, and the Chinese city resembles a Chinese city. And not just because of the little houses, which really help create the look, but also because we were inspired by the street layout of the Chinese city. So it's a lot about using those little alleys of theirs being kind of irregular. Having a single street, which isn't an alley, that cuts through the neighborhoods so you can see just one traditional street. And the rest is all alleys. Alleys, alleys. Until we have another traditional street here, cutting through the neighborhood, giving access to the alleys. So this style of canal turned out really nice, preserving this temple here in the middle. Look, the Forbidden City in Beijing, it's a type of construction that's very common in cities, not just Chinese, but Asian cities as a whole. So this part here reflects a bit of ancient China, which had major housing policies. That's why there are several identical buildings here, one right next to the other, some taller, some shorter. Our overpass is here too. Look, there are already much bigger buildings here and here, man. On this other side, it reflects a more modern China. So we have skyscrapers here. Look, much more modern. We have a museum here. Look, a museum too, which is a very beautiful asset. And over here, we have the train station of the Chinese city between the buildings, between the canal. It turned out really nice, and a lot of people use it too. It's so crowded that people are even walking outside the platform. How nice. And over here, right? Right here in front, we have a cable car passing by, and this cable car will give access to our central park. This connects the temple to the university area nearby, right? There's also a hotel on this avenue. Behind here, there's another overpass, and it will end here at the port, right? My idea here is kind of overlapping. The streets of this temple, I would put it right up here and make a path going up, kind of giving off this religious vibe anyway. But it won't be possible to do that either. But the idea was to put it a little higher up here, and here we have the older central part, right? So there are still some buildings here. There's a tower over here where you can see the whole city and have a view of the temple. And there's a port that you saw at the beginning of the episode causing traffic jams. Well, I think that's it, okay? I think I went through the main spots of the state. We're also here with a cargo station that I forgot to show, which would supply the Japanese city. Well, I really want to thank you for making it this far, not just to the end of this episode, but also to the end of this series. You're amazing. You're awesome, okay? I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this chaotic journey called Bahia de Barbosa. Here in this chaotic game called Cities Skylines 2, to you my heartfelt thanks and sincere gratitude. I also want to thank the council members who currently support the channel. They are the foundation of everything. Thank you very much. Your names will appear in the credits as a way of saying thanks while we take this aerial tour around our entire state. I also want to thank the secretaries who will be saying goodbye to the series a day earlier because they have early access. Their names will also appear. As a way of saying thanks, I also want to thank our deputy mayors. By name then, thank you Orbital, thank you Giovanni Freitas, thank you Jose Fernando, thank you Nagel, thank you Pedro Mendez, and thank you also Rafuksho. So guys, we're always together. A big hug and see you next time with another new series. For now, Saturday we'll have a vanilla episode. Next week, stay tuned for news and see you next time. Bye.